Hello and welcome to this mini mindful doodling session where we are going to be unraveling the pattern kin, which was created by me after being inspired by a friend's garden. And I hope that you add this doodle to your encyclopedia of doodles. The best part about this tutorial is you don't need any experience with drawing. We'll walk through this process together. I'm Nat, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, artist, and I will be your guide for today. All right, let's get started. The biggest thing I want y'all to keep in mind during this process is there are no mistakes, only opportunities. It's all about reframing that oops moment in your mind into a moment of learning, of reworking that line, maybe of creating something new out of it, making it a positive experience. So for this lesson, you'll need a pen, pencil, and piece of paper. All right, let's get drawing. All right, now let's get our workspace set up with maybe some nice coffee or a hot beverage, our notebook, and our pen and our pencil. Make sure that we've cleared away and maybe put our smartphone off to the side. And we're going to get our piece of paper all set up here. So I'm going to take out my pencil right now, and we're going to draw out a 2-inch by 2-inch square, a roundabout. Doesn't have to be exact. We're just creating a nice small space for us to work with. We have limited time together, so I want to make sure that we make the most of it. And by creating limitations in the space that we have to fill, it helps make sure that we don't get too overwhelmed. It makes sure that we keep mindful limitations for ourselves and what we're going to be doing today. Filling a 2-inch by 2-inch square is feels a lot more attainable than filling a big canvas with doodles. So now I'm taking out my pen and I'm drawing a circle, not too big, not too small, right in the center of this square space. And remember, we can always go outside this square space. And right now what I'm doing is I'm drawing 4 squiggly lines, north, south, east, and west. You can draw them straight if you feel like. But I'm feeling in a wiggly mood. And then at the tops, we're going to draw S curves. And I'm turning my page to make sure that I get a nice comfortable angle drawing these S curves. It's a little tough. It's a little difficult. It's not as easy as drawing a squiggly line or a circle. So I'm making sure that that S curve is easy for me to draw. I'm doing it from a nice angle here. So I'm turning my notebook to where it's most comfortable for me. All right, and I want to take a moment to press pause. So we're a little bit into our drawing right now, but I want to make sure that you take a moment to notice your body, to take note of maybe your shoulders. Are they scrunched up towards your earlobes? If so, take a breath and just kind of relax them down. How are you gripping your pen? Do you have a tight grip around that pen? Maybe loosen that grip. Remember, you're doing this drawing for yourself. No one's going to judge it. It's supposed to be a way for you to just have that moment to relax and be with the paper and let the outside world just kind of fall away. So if you need, I want you to take a deep breath in and out. All right. Now let's get back to drawing. All right, so now what I'm going to do is between these squiggly lines, I'm going to make these little U shapes, creating more little guiding lines. And off of these U shapes, I'm going to use that as a jumping off point to make more of these S curves that help connect and make up this bigger leaf that I'm drawing here. And feel free to play here. So if you feel like you don't want to draw an S curve little leaf, feel free to draw something else, maybe just a squiggly oval or line. Remember, not every pattern needs to look the same. My kin pattern will look different from yours. I'm just giving you kind of the steps that you can take. But otherwise, you are fully allowed to make it your own. So I'm just drawing, making sure my hand is nice and cozy to draw that nice squiggly shape, that nice S curve. All right. Now this drawing looks a little flat, so we're going to try and liven it up by kind of refining some of the lines that we've drawn. Like for instance, I'm drawing a little teardrop shape at the end of this little curved line that we started out with to add some contrast and depth to our drawing, to make it look a little less flat, give it some drama, if you will. All right, and I'm also going to draw in and color in a portion, kind of a C curve, a crescent shape into the center area to give it the sense that it's almost kind of like a shimmer effect. There's white in the center, kind of shining off of this middle section. It helps break up the white and also make sure to add some texture. So right now I'm adding some hatched lines, which is pushing the pen down and then lifting off like an airplane on these smaller leaves, just to give a little extra interest to the piece. We want to make sure that it has movement, it has feeling, it has texture, it has depth and drama. And creating texture, creating little blocks of black and gray to help break up that white space helps add to the ecosystem and the beauty of the drawing. So you need that black, that white, texture, and shades of gray in order to really add a lot of, make sure that your drawing has a good ecosystem, if you will, to make sure everything can feed off of everything else. Nothing gets lost. So right now I added a little bit of extra line weight to these little U curves that we created to help kind of add that depth, add that drama, add that contrast. And now what I'm doing is I'm putting away my pen for now, and I'm taking out my pencil to add those shades of gray that I was telling you about. And I'm going to work off of some of these black areas to help create a little bit of a gradient, a little bit of shadow. And what I'm doing is I'm holding my pencil almost parallel to the page. And that helps create really nice, smooth shade and shadow. And what I do want to note as a tip for y'all is to make sure that when you're pressing down on your pencil, do so lightly. You can always make your marks darker later, layering your graphite on top of one another, but start out light and then add a little bit more weight behind that pencil as you go. It really helps in seeing where your drawing is going to be going. Now I'm taking my pen back out because I want to add a little extra visual interest. This is supposed to be kind of a flower, plant, leaf. So I'm adding a pattern, a Zentangle pattern called fescue, kind of popping out of this pattern kin to add a little bit of extra interest to the piece. And if there's a pattern that you know from the Zentangle community that you'd like to add in the background as just a little extra piece of visual interest, feel free. But I'm going to add these little wiggly lines with dots at the very, very top, kind of curling around to just add a little bit of extra something, because I felt it needed just one little extra little bit. And then once you feel done with your piece, be sure to sign and appreciate it. You've done great work here today in drawing your So one last thing before we say goodbye is I want to say thank you so much for joining me for this mindfulness break and untangling the pattern kin. I hope you had a wonderful time, and also an extra special thank you to my Patreon supporters who have helped fund these videos. If you want more steps and step outs for patterns that I've developed, and little tips and tricks to help accent your drawings, consider becoming a Patreon supporter for as little as $2 a month. All right, until next time, I hope to see you again, and doodle mindfully. Cheers!